welcome back to another one of my videos. Today we are making braised beef short ribs, and these are so juicy, so tender, so full of flavor. You're gonna love these. We're gonna start off with 1 pound of short ribs, and we're gonna be using 1 teaspoon of salt. What we're gonna be doing is we're going to be seasoning the ribs, but what we want to make sure that we do is we want to make sure that we evenly season each side of the short rib. We just want to make sure that all have salt on them. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding cracked black pepper. Now, cracked black pepper, very similar to the salt. We're going to be seasoning all sides. And I like pepper, so I'm going to be using a lot. You can use as much as you want or as little as you want. It doesn't matter. Next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the short ribs and we're going to be dredging them in this flour. This is just flour, nothing else is in it. We want to make sure that we coat all sides with the flour. We make sure that we don't have any excess flour on it. We kind of want it when we're done to kind of look, like this. We want to make sure all sides are coated, and we want to make sure that we have enough flour on it, but not too much. If you have any excess flour on it, you can always shake it off a little. Our next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We are going to be adding that to a medium-sized saucepan. Our next ingredient is going to be 1 tablespoon of butter. We're also going to be adding this to the medium-sized saucepan. What we want to do is we want to bring the saucepan up to about a medium-high heat. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix that butter around, and we're going to make sure that it's mixed in with that olive oil really, really well. Then we are going to be adding back our short ribs to the pot. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to braise them on all sides. So we want to try to cook them maybe for about 5 minutes on each side until they kind of look like this. Okay, so you can kind of tell that the short ribs are done when you take a look at them and the tops are brown and kind of crispy from the flour. We don't want to cook it all the way through, but we want to make sure that all the sides kind of look like this, kind of look the same and look crispy and golden, kind of like that. Afterwards, when we have the empty pot, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be adding 1 clove of garlic. Now, I'm not a huge garlic fan, so I didn't put 1 clove. This is not 1 clove, but you may want to put 1 clove of garlic. The next ingredient is going to be 1 sliced onion, and I used a sweet onion. You don't have to use a sweet onion. You can probably use whatever kind of onion that you want. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing this around and cooking it down until it looks like this. We want it to be caramelized, and we want the onions to be soft. Next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding back our short ribs to this pot. We want to make sure that, like I said, all the onions and everything is all cooked down. Now, the next ingredient that we're going to be using is we're going to be using 1 cup of beef stock. So we're going to be adding that directly to the pan. And now the recipe calls for 12 fluid ounces of stout or beer, but I didn't have any on hand, and so I decided to use 12 fluid ounces of more beef stock. And it didn't really make a difference in the flavor. It's still very flavorful, so use what you want. So we're going to turn down the heat. We're going to put a lid on the pot, and we're going to let it simmer for about 2 hours. And we're going to check on it periodically, but when it's done, it should look something like this. The next thing we want to add is we want to add a cornstarch slurry to the mix. We're just going to be adding it into the pot while it's still boiling, and we're going to be stirring it around there. What we want to do is we want to thicken up the juices in here so that we can make a nice thick gravy. So anyway, this is what it should look like at the end. I've already deboned the meat, as you can see. You can debone it or you can serve it with the bone. This is what the beef should look like. And it is so soft and so tender, as you can see. And we are going to be serving this on a bed of egg noodles. The meat turns out so tender that you don't even need a knife to cut it. You can just use a fork. It is like fork tender. Anyway, you should really think about making this braised short rib recipe because the meat is so tender, so juicy, and it turns out so flavorful and delicious. Oh my goodness, your family is absolutely gonna love it. But thank you so much for watching.